welcome everybody to another classic episode of Sci-Fi Distilled. Welcome Mary Beth and Bruce Playfair once again. We are continuing our Halloween celebration in October here, and we are doing the 2004 cult classic Shaun of the Dead. If you haven't seen this film, you got to see it. It's not scary at all.
Yeah,
It's definitely a comedy.
definitely
Written by
comedy.
Simon Pegg, along with the director, which was Edgar Wright. And basically, it's based, I know Bruce is going to talk about this, it's based on an episode of Spaced that Simon Pegg was in, and we'll talk about that. So, welcome again.
Yeah, Rizzo, thank you for choosing this movie because I had seen it. No, really, because I have greater appreciation for it now. I'd seen it back when it first came out, and at the time I was like, "Oh yes, haha, funny zombie movie." But now on the rewatch, I'm realizing this thing is actually a lot more clever on a
Yeah.
couple of different fronts
Before we get
than
too far in, I want to do the drink. So, because
yes.
we always
Do the
forget.
drink. I'm going to pull up the comments so you may hear us talking in the
That's
background for
fine.
a nanosecond.
So here's our drink. Of course, we have to do the Winchester is the drink, and it is basically Jim elderflower liqueur, grapefruit juice, lime juice, grenadine, ginger syrup, a dash of bitters, and of course you can garnish it with a cherry and lime. So that, of course, is on our page if you want to go back and make it. But we had to go to the Winchester. That's
Yeah,
my
so
terrible British accent,
cheers.
by the way. So
Cheers. Have a
cheers to
pint.
everyone.
Cheers.
Have some moose milk.
So anyway, continue. I'm sorry. You
Oh,
were
that's okay.
saying.
Yeah, no, I have a great appreciation. This thing is a lot more clever than you might have given it credit for upon first viewing. And two ways it is. One, um, this is one of those really clever movies where you can just watch it as a light farce and okay, yes, haha. Or if you want to dig into it and really analyze it, you can really see if they are making any kind of statement on modern life. Because
Oh,
zombie
they
movies
definitely
are
do. Yeah,
traditionally
they
used
definitely make.
as yeah,
And what's interesting, this was 2004, so it's like before the wave of the smartphone, and yet you still see people like doing things like not paying attention. So like we're starting to see the beginning of alive zombies of people just on their phones looking at Facebook, looking at whatever social media, and not paying attention to what's going on
yes,
around them. Which if that opening scene when he's kind of when he things have already, I shouldn't say the opening scene, but things have kind of already gone bad, and he's kind of going back out to the market, and things have all fallen apart. He's completely oblivious to it. Yeah.
Well, the opening credit scene, I mean, everybody's standing around going about their business, waiting for the bus or at the checkout, and they're all acting more like zombies than they are later on when they're
yes,
actually
yes.
zombified.
That was the second thing I was going to say that this is a clever movie is that every is structurally everything that comes in the beginning you see again later, and perfect first example of that is every single person you see in the opening sequence you will see again later in the movie as a zombie,
Yeah,
and
but
lots of
checkout
other
girl.
stuff is called back to.
Yeah, I mean the checkout girl at the beginning there, again in the zombified credit scene, she's the one in the garden.
Yes,
The first one that they realize, oh my goodness, it's a zombie
yes,
apocalypse.
and
They
if
think she's drunk, which is really funny.
and they think
It's
she's
like, oh,
drunk, yeah.
she's drunk.
If memory serves, I think was she the one that said her last name was Landis?
No, it
No,
was
she's
Mary.
not the one with the name tag Landis.
Well, Landis is the name of the store.
Yes, Landis is the name of a British supermarket
No,
but they
that's where
but
Mary works is Landis.
did it say Landis? Okay, but they had changed the spelling because
Yes,
in Britain it's Londis,
Landis.
Londis is the actual supermarket, but they had changed the spelling and it was more of a nod to the director.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's tons of that. I have a list a mile long. If you guys want me to rattle through, I'm happy to, but there's tons of those little details.
Yeah, I mean
Absolutely.
it is fraught with Easter eggs and references, and of course, obviously the name is based on the Romero films of Dawn of the Dead and stuff like that. In fact, I think they were going to do a sequel at one point and call it. Let me see, I had it written down here
Oh yeah,
somewhere.
Dusk Till
They were gonna
Shaun.
do well. They
From
did. They were gonna do like a
yeah.
dusk till Shaun till dusk or something like that. Sequel, obviously with the Dusk Till Dawn, which was that was our other American the hell somebody help me out.
Yeah,
Pulp
Dusk Till
Fiction.
Dawn. It was Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino. Thank you. I am my brain just
I'm
shuts
gonna
down.
say hi super quick to Christopher and Martin's here. And Dennis is here. And Liz is here. Hi, Liz.
Hey, Chris LaRoche. Thanks for joining.
More people kind of rolling in. Martin, thank you for answering our questions on Facebook. I might share some of those answers at the end of the show tonight.
But it definitely, the movie definitely riffed off of a lot of the zombie movies. But there's so much, if you were a fan of Spaced, which came out in '99, there's so much references to that show as well. And I saw Shaun of the Dead long before I saw Spaced. And you started to realize, hey, and there's a lot of things. And even when he meets up with the girl at the beginning and she asks about if she's still with Liz and stuff, he goes, well, how long has it been? Well, about 3 years, which is about the length of time from the end of Space to then, as well as how long have you been living with Nick? Well, about 5 years, which would have been the beginning of Spaced to the time of the movie.
You really got to be a fan of Space to pick those ones up.
Yeah.
I don't think I've never seen it.
Even if you've never seen Space, there's still so much in this movie.
I think
so
this was the first movie that I was really introduced to Simon Pegg. I don't think I'd seen him in anything else prior to this.
Yeah, I don't think I had.
And I went back and watched Hot Fuzz.
Oh my God, Hot Fuzz is great as well.
Yeah,
Hot Fuzz is awesome. World's End is pretty clever too.
World's End was good, but it wasn't a financial. I don't believe
it wasn't, but I still thought it was clever
in its own right, but it wasn't as good as this one.
No.
Yeah, it was kind of Doctor Who-ish.
Well, yeah, it was space aliens as opposed
to space aliens, and so those three make up the Cornetto trilogy, or the Blood and Ice Cream trilogy, or the 3 flavor trilogy, however you like to call it, because they're Cornetto, and we don't have Cornetto in the States. We have Nestle drumsticks, or we have Nestle. We just have ice cream.
Yeah, the drumsticks we call it. Yeah, the ice cream cone, packaged cone.
Now,
but they're really specific about, like, in Shaun of the Dead, the Cornetto he asked for is strawberry because red blood. Mm-hmm. In Hot Fuzz, it's blue for the cops, and in World's End, the Cornetto is green, mint chocolate chip, because green is traditionally little green men, like little aliens, in science fiction and stuff like that. So yeah, they took the whole Cornetto thing and ran with it.
Yeah.
but even the director even said.
You could really drill down into this movie and find it. There's like so many layers to it.
You know, I have 3 pages of notes on this movie.
You know, and it's a lot. You know, Simon Pegg, you know, has done. You know, obviously this is like he doesn't take this stuff lightly because he keeps you know adding to it and
oh yeah, there's tons in there, and I've got like mad respect now for Edgar Wright, the director and co-writer. He also did one of my other favorite movies, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Sometimes it's Scott Pilgrim Saves the World or Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I know it is Scott Pilgrim versus the World and the 7 Deadly Exes. I love that movie, and that's one of his. Like, oh my God! So now I'm like, should I go see Baby Driver? I never saw it.
I saw Baby Driver. Baby Driver wasn't bad.
Is it good?
It's good.
It's entertaining.
Maybe I need to go see it.
That's his
music.
I don't know if you saw the trivia, but I was looking up the other day. And he actually, after he was one of the directors on Spaced, and he got this film idea, he refused work in order to make sure that he was available to do this film whenever the financing came through. And he was supposedly penniless and borrowing money off of Pegg and Frost and stuff.
Really?
And Pegg and Frost will not allow him to pay it back at this point.
That's awesome.
Supposedly.
That's awesome.
He was really dedicated to
worth every penny. Worth every penny. It was awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, and I believe it was it was. I think they you know when it was released in London and everything. I think they made their money.
I think they spent 6 and made 30.
Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah.
So and it aired in the U.S. and it was aired with critical acclaim. I mean, it was accepted by the critics. It wasn't like panned or anything like that. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw this after the fact, either on HBO or something like that. But fell in love with it immediately once I saw it. My wife even enjoys it. You know, she's seen it several times. So
yeah, easily enjoyable by Americans, even if we don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of Canadians. North Americans.
North Americans. I'm so sorry. Easily enjoyable by the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of British humor in it, obviously, but it's not hard to follow.
No, you know what's going on.
I mean, I think it's so funny. us as Americans, that there's a whole argument about the Winchester rifle that's above the bar, whether it's been demilled or not. And, we're just thinking, well, who cares? It's a rifle.
It's a rifle.
But then again, you got to remember, it's England. They don't allowed to have guns.
There's no guns, so
it was kind of funny,
So even him having the bullets or the shells for it.
Yeah, that was kind of funny too, that he actually had shells for it.
He had shells for it.
But dogs can't look up, so.
But dogs can't look up.
So this is the man that thinks it says dogs can't look up.
Like, where did they come up with that? Like, is that a callback? Because
I don't know. That was, if anybody knows if that's a reference to something.
I did spend part of the day today kind of getting over my dogs and calling them.
Random. Yeah, that is very random, like why they decided,
So I see Martin is saying, yeah, many of the actors, yeah, Martin. So we do all roads. All roads in this movie, all roads lead to Doctor Who. Virtually, I was doing the cross check, and like every single one of those actors had appeared in at least one Doctor Who episode. It was amazing. Any roads leading to Star Trek? No, just the big obvious one, but not much else.
Well, the thing is, my wife has the theory that there are only about 12 British actors.
Yeah, I think that's really what it is. I think it's not so much that
and then they were all in Harry
all the
Potter.
People in this movie were in Doctor Who. It's just that all actors in England eventually are on Doctor Who.
They are. That makes perfect sense because what's her bucket? And Alan Rickman, blonde. She plays in everything. She played the Madame Trelawney in Doctor Who. Whatever. She shows up to rehearsal or whatever on Harry Potter, and she sees Alan Rickman and she's like, you again, because they just keep doing movies together over and over. Emma, what's her name?
It does seem they have like this small pool of actors, and they just
a really small pool of brilliant actors.
I'm sure it's not true, but it does seem that way.
You know who the mother is married to in real life?
No, who?
Ian Holm.
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Right? Now see the mother, you see her immediately, you're like, oh, there's Harriet Jones, because she's, Prime Minister.
She's also was in the Ricky Gervais comedy that just came out on Afterlife, which is, if you want to be laughing and be depressed all at the same time, watch Afterlife on Netflix I think it's Netflix. Yeah, with Ricky Gervais. It's either Netflix or Amazon Prime. They all blends together, but yeah, it's funny. It's 2 seasons right now. It's funny, but she plays
Wilton.
She plays the a woman who's he befriends in the show.
That's Penelope Wilton. The other one we were talking about just before we started the show was Peter Serafinowicz. He's in everything. He's done plenty of work on this side of the pond too, but he's in everything. His IMDb is like this long. And the other kind of interesting one was Rafe Spall, a young Rafe Spall. He played the kind of snotty kid that worked for Simon.
Yeah.
Got red
and his dad played in Harry Potter too. His dad played the rat guy.
Well,
okay. Yep.
I mean, talking about Peg and Star Trek, I was really surprised when it didn't turn out that his little engineering buddy wasn't Nick Frost.
That's true. That would have been.
It was deep funny. Yeah.
Maybe just played, but he's a big guy, and he wouldn't really fit into that little oyster shell, whatever the hell he was supposed to be.
Oh man. No Nick Frost, but hey, you know what? I mean, you guys saw what they did with the Star Wars. Like, did you see? There's like Greg Gumbel. There's what's his name, the Hobbit, Dominic Moynihan. Like, I'm looking and like there's everybody in the cast, and I'm like, oh, they'll end up doing this to Star Trek too. Like when they're making their plan to attack the Star Killer base or whatever it is. No.
Yeah. So, what was I going to say? There was some other reference there to. Anyway.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to celebrate disco tonight, people.
Oh yeah, we can mention that.
Disco happening. Of course,
you guys, everybody's Star Trek fans, so yeah.
Tomorrow night.
Well, tomorrow, right?
Technically. So we're all looking forward to that.
Tomorrow. And also, while you're pulling up notes or whatever you're doing, I'm also going to drop a link to something that our friend Shireporn did. Just to amuse you.
Oh, yeah, if you haven't seen this.
That was good.
That haven't seen it, this is great.
Just to entertain you for no reason whatsoever. This has absolutely nothing to do with Shaun of the Dead. I just wanted to share it.
Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with, but it is pretty good. So
I'll write down this is Shia porn. Nod to disco.
So one of the things I really liked about the while she's posting that app, I love the, like you said, we talked about it already, but the little recurring themes that kind of keep hopping back, like the red on his, the pen
Got
leaks
red
in
on
his
you.
pocket, and like everybody keeps, you got red on you, and then of course the joke is later he has a lot of red on him because he's covered in blood all the time.
Oh yeah. Even
So
his
I
mother
mean,
is like,
yeah,
you've got a little
Yeah.
red on
yeah,
you.
yeah,
But by the end, he even wears like he had a red tie and he ends up putting it around his head like a bandana.
yeah.
So he like kind of embraced. So if red is symbolic of not just blood and zombies, but like of like fighting back, he embraces it. Like he's all in. He doesn't truly completely turn into like a full-on super action hero, though. He still kind of
Well, no,
remains
because he
keeps
can't
that
shoot worth a
everyman.
crap, and because he hasn't, he hasn't. I don't know why they probably should have give Ed the gun because he was a better shot. But at least he seemed like he was when he did shoot. But I thought, it was funny because when the power comes on and they start and the jukebox starts playing Queen, and of course that whole fight scene is like choreographed
Yeah.
to the Queen song.
That was 70-year-old. So the bar owner, 70-year-old stuntman Steve Emerson. He's been in a bunch of stuff. His claim to fame, punched in the face by John Wayne. And he was like 70 or something when he did. Oh, and he also went into a jukebox the exact same way, like in his earlier years. Like he specialized in crashing into jukeboxes. But yeah,
That's a skill.
it's a skill.
Crash
I
jukebox.
was watching Simon Pegg do a little interview, and he almost sounded. He didn't say this, but he kind of almost said, he's like, we were whapping this 70-year-old man. And he said it was brutally hot and it was almost the end of the shoot. People were tired and exhausted, and here we are, like hitting the 70-year-old. Of course, he's padded. He's a stunt man. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it was
you
choreographed.
can almost tell that
but
he has like layers of stuff underneath.
Yeah,
him
you can almost
kind of
see
like
them.
overly bulked up. But it's funny because they're just letting her whack, 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 whack.
Wow. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man.
It was funny. So,
It's-
one thing I noticed that I don't know if there's any significance when he goes to the grocery store the first time, the little, not the the little shop. He does the same thing. He picks up a can of Diet Coke, puts it back, grabs a can of regular Coke, and leaves. When he goes back the second time, he does the reverse.
Yeah.
Picks up the Coke, puts it back, picks up the Diet Coke. And I never figured out why.
Because he's
most people won't
got
switch
yelled
back.
at. You need to change your life, so he's already mentally like
changing it.
Yeah, maybe.
And if you notice the entire scene, that one whole long take at that time is juxtaposed the first and the second time.
Mm-hmm.
The first time the guy's cleaning the car, the second time there's a hole in the windshield.
Right.
Yeah.
It is exciting. It's like the same thing, And, then,
and even Nelson's a zombie in the back. The second time he goes and Nelson's a zombie and he never really sees him. He just says, I owe you 15p.
Yeah.
And then later on, you see Nelson on the street and he's holding his hand out.
Yeah.
He wants his 15 cents.
I did catch that. He's holding his hand out.
He's holding like that and Philip, Bill Nye, there's nothing left of the man you knew. And he like turns off the radio. Like that was a really, really great little moment.
Or
there
Nick
were lots
Frost,
of little moments like that.
Or Nick Frost saying to the roommate, next time I see you, you're dead.
Yeah. And the roommate had just said, "Go live in the shed," and then he says, "Next time I see you,
there
you're
was
dead."
that reference.
Both of those came.
But
right at the very beginning, when she dumps him and Ed takes him to the bar and he's talking it through, like everything Ed says, it's like he's basically laying out the movie. Like
what are you doing tomorrow? What should we do tomorrow?
What we're doing tomorrow, we're doing tonight, what we're doing tomorrow, what we're doing. Yeah. He's kind of laying the whole movie out, and then it sort of goes from there.
He names a number of drinks, and they're exactly what happened. So I mean, the first one was Bloody Mary, which is the zombie they fight in the backyard, and goes on from there.
I should have written it down. It was super clever. And the other clever.
Come back to the bar for shots is where he ends.
Come back to the bar for shots.
For shots, right?
Yep. And the other clever moment was Simon Pegg leaning over the back of the couch, telling him how to play the game. Shoot, left, right, up. Catch that guy. And then later on, when the zombies come, that's exactly what he's saying to him. Left, right, exact same word for word. Like this movie, that's why I said the structure of this movie, everything in the beginning gets repeated again.
It mirrors itself
clever.
all over the place.
So clever. I love it.
That's what I think it's one of the reasons it makes it such a good film is that you don't even necessarily, the first time you watch it, you may not pick everything.
No, you don't.
Up, but I think it registers in the back of your head.
Yeah.
You know,
You might pick up some of the big obvious.
Yeah, the obvious
Everything
ones.
there is for a purpose. Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can go back and you can watch it and you can sort of say, now I understand why that's there. You know, the Mary from the beginning and then into the garden and all this sort of stuff. Yeah.
Right.
There's nothing left to chance.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was funny when
smart.
he went into the bar before everything went badly or was starting to go badly. There's a couple that looks like they're making out.
Yeah. And then when you see them later,
and like we all know that's a zombie eating another person, because when they come back out like hours later, they've shut the bar down. They're still
making
there.
out. Yeah,
they're still there. And then of course they do the whole white line thing. You know, they're singing White Line, and then they got the guy walking, stumbling down the zombie, which they just think it's a guy going, because he's drunk. So it's just, the whole movie just makes you laugh constantly.
It makes you laugh,
silly.
and it's kind of amazing that it does, because this movie actually, its third act, when you really look at what they're actually doing and talking about, it's quite dark. He has to shoot his own mom. They're talking suicide, like when they get down to that basement, and they're like, "Oh crap!"
It gets dark at the very end.
Yeah, and yet they still kind of pull it off. But then here's a really weird thing: is then cut to 6 months later, and it's the exact same. Like he zombies into the living room. Yeah. He plops down on the couch. So has anything really changed for this man?
Well, first of all, he's clearly living with Liz at this point.
Well, yeah, she's moved into his house and brought her stuff from the old apartment. Yeah.
And and now Ed is living in. He's
and
pretty
Ed's
much
in the
the
shed.
monkey that he
He's not living.
Yeah, he's like not living. He's not living in the shed. He's
he's existing in the shed playing video games, and you notice he's kind of like the orangutan that he always mimicked, because he always doing the man. He's kind of sitting there like, ugh.
Which is supposedly Nick Frost's real party trick. Like he did do it in real life or something. I don't know.
Based on?
Oh, Clyde from
from Every Which Way But Loose.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, the Clint Eastwood film. Right Turn Clyde.
I love trivia. I have a ton of it. You guys want some?
Sure. Yeah, so I mean there's a lot of funny stuff going on there. I mean, I love the part where they're throwing the records at the zombies.
Oh, and they're going through
he got like one lucky shot that took out the one chick. And so then he's sitting there, they're winging him and it's like they're missing all over the place. And I love
Purple Rain.
Pulls out, like, no, that's a good one.
Yeah. Purple Rain, another Prince one, Batman soundtrack. Yeah, throw it.
Batman soundtrack. All right, let it go. And he goes, oh, he's like, you hear him go, because he like totally misses, just shatters against nothing.
So we've got lots of, okay, so like you guys started to say, I'm going to start pointing out some of the more specific other zombie movie references, because we started to talk about it at the beginning of the show. So tons of Dawn of the Dead nods, including the music at the beginning is the actual Dawn of the Dead music, like the very, very beginning. And then how David dies and he's dragged off into the zombies, like that's almost like beat for beat exactly how someone died in Dawn of the Dead, like almost exactly. Yeah. The other thing that was exact that cracked me up, because Roy just did it, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the shot where he goes into the flower shop to get flowers for his mom, but there's weird stuff happening in the background, but he doesn't really quite notice it. Some of those shots were like shot for shot from Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
The homeless guy in the park across the street, and he's trying to catch the pigeons.
And
then he clearly has gotten one, and then like he's eating it, and then the bus goes by, and everything's gone except you just see feathers.
Yeah.
And that's when he was kind of like, "What's going on?"
Mirror scare. They do tons of mirror scares. A mirror scare is where you're looking and then you shut the mirror so it just changes and there's someone behind you. Yeah. There was prominent one in American Werewolf in London. But actually mirror scares are everywhere nowadays.
Yeah, Martin was mentioning, talking about mirroring things was, of course, the two groups as they were both running, they were going to the Winchester. The other group they never really did say where they were going.
No, they didn't.
But they were crossing and they were like almost parallels of each other, even down to the girl with the knitted hat. And, everybody was like it reminded me of the Seinfeld episode where there was like, where Elaine got new friends and they were exactly
and
like
they were the
opposite. They were like the bizarro world of Seinfeld, where they had a version of Kramer and George and everything, but everybody was really nice and normal as opposed to their crazy stuff.
It was like that. There was a radio
that to another level is, as I said earlier, I don't know if we were on at that point, those were all comedy team duos
Yeah.
of the original group. So it's the other star from Spaced. There was another person from Space that would go with Nick Frost, etc. So there was all these duos getting together. So it wasn't just even the clothing; it took it to the next
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, was
So clever.
so Martin Friedman was in that. What else was who he was paired up? He would have been paired up with
I'm
what's
trying
his
to
name, the one that
remember
got
here.
killed
With
there.
David.
David.
I saw this. Yeah, it's Simon Pegg and Jessica Hines from Spaced, Tim and Daisy from Spaced, Lucy Davis and Martin Freeman, who were in both in The Office.
Oh, The
Uh,
Office. Yes.
Dylan Moore and
British.
Tasman
Right.
Grigg from Black Books, and yeah, so they were
I
all
always forget that The Office was originally a British show that was
yeah.
created.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people
That
forget
was
that.
another Ricky Gervais creation, by the way.
So I'm just trying to see what else here. Yeah. Oh, did you guys catch when he's flipping through the channels? They're lining up perfectly to say exactly what
Yeah.
is going on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing with they go to the nature
Tonight,
program with
panic on
eating.
the streets in
Yeah, it was
London
just
because
funny. And then he
yeah.
flips back to and I love at the end where they're like interviewing, like he's watching the TV and he's like, they're interviewing the guy that was the newscaster that was basically saying, hit them in the head. That's the
Oh yeah, you have
he's
to.
kind of saying he's
Yeah.
like, I never thought I would ever say that as a newscaster.
Yeah.
Telling people
Remove the head or
and they never
destroy the brain.
explain. There's a lot of hints as to what happened because if you remember on the radio, there was something about a satellite that
That's
Oh,
right.
there's
fell
everything.
back to
There's
Earth or
satellite, a
something.
virus. Yeah, yeah,
There was
yeah,
all
yeah.
kinds of little references of what could have caused it.
And each
But-
is from a different movie, so each
Right,
of them
right.
is from a different.
Right,
Yeah.
and they never say, even in the newscast at the end, it was caused by the satellite, it was caused by a virus, it was caused by, they just left it. It didn't matter. It's just like Walking Dead. I guess it doesn't matter.
It
what
doesn't
caused
matter.
it.
So do you
But
want
it
you
was
want
just
to do the
funny that
trivia for the audience here?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did they get the extras who played the zombies, and how
No,
much
I know.
were they paid?
I know.
I don't
I'll
know.
I'll let our few viewers type. We'll give them a moment to type, but then
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay.
there's a good story behind that. I'm glad you
All
got
7
that
of
one.
them.
That's a great one. Some of the lines, while these guys are typing, some of the lines, "We're coming to get you, Barbara," is straight from Dawn of the Dead. "Hey man, watch the weather" is Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused. There's like a bunch of stuff that was like line for line. Don't point a gun at my mother is Reservoir Dogs.
Martin says that newscaster was a real. Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Yeah,
All the newscasters were.
Yeah.
All the radio and newscasters were real newscasters from Britain.
And that's not really unique. A lot of films have done that.
Yeah.
Where they'll pull.
Yeah, we've done that in the States. Yeah. In fact, Ghostbusters had we just did Ghostbusters and that had
that had a lot of people in
a
it.
bunch of them. I'm thinking of one.
Had
I see his face. I hear his voice. His name just Larry King.
Yeah.
No one's typing. You guys not know?
You talk about British actors that like Bill Nye. I think he's been in so many things. He always kind of plays the same exact character. I mean, it's always kind of this deadpan.
He kind of is deadpan, but yeah. But he's kind of still genius.
It's like he has his one character that he does.
You guys remember him in Pirates of the Caribbean with like he was an octopus dude. Like that was like his most he was crazy.
Have you ever seen him in Love Actually?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I've seen Love Actually. Yeah. I love
That's
Bill
a little bit different.
All right, no one's answering. So, Bruce, can you tell the story of where all those extras? Because this is clever, and this will make us all feel better about being what we are ourselves.
Okay, they had a fan page for this show, and they advertised needing extras on the fan page. They brought everybody in, and as an ode to, I think it was Dawn of the Dead, or I'm not sure which of the films it was, but they paid them a buck a zombie.
Buck a zombie. So guys, stay on your fan pages. Keep posting because you never know.
You don't have to fly out to LA or England, dude.
I just have to go to Toronto. Thanks.
Yeah, Martin saying, yeah,
That's
he did
wrong.
play Slotty Bartfast on the
Yep.
film version of
Slutty Bart Fast. Yeah, that
film version of
he's
Hitchhikers.
like perfect in everything he does.
Yep.
And we'll see him again, not next week, but the week after. We're doing Underworld, and we'll see him again in
Yeah,
Underworld.
and that one is probably where he plays a little bit. He's a different character there because he's pretty bad guy on that one. So
That's interesting. That'll be fun.
you haven't seen it, have you?
Yeah, this is a make me watch.
Oh, this is
I
right.
haven't
To
seen
make
it
you
yet.
watch. Okay, I might have to rewatch it myself because I have not seen it in a while.
I remember it being advertised. I remember people being gaga about it. People seem to like
Well,
it
they
back
made
then.
like 3 films after
Yeah,
it.
they made
Like
a
so,
bunch.
I mean, obviously, it had some popularity.
Turned into this whole werewolf and vampire thing, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Let me look at my notes.
We're not talking about that right now. So,
In the immortal words of Star Wars, stay on target, stay on target.
Stay
yeah,
on
we have a tough
target.
time doing that, Bruce. You should know that by now. We go all over the place because we're not experts on any of this stuff.
I'm going to put a link. So as I was doing my research for this, I came across this little linkle right here. It's a YouTube video talking about visual comedy and how Edgar Wright is so clever at it. If any of you guys want to check this out, it does give you really good appreciation because like in the States, sometimes our movies, we just kind of, there's a lot of exposition. We just sort of say, and this is what is happening. But Edgar Wright shows you what is happening in a really clever way. And it's something to appreciate. So I'm just going to put that link up. If you guys ever want to have a moment to sit down and watch that, why his comedy is so good. And, it makes sense. I mean, if you guys have seen Scott Pilgrim, like that is a genius movie. I love Scott Pilgrim.
So another piece of trivia, what word is only said once in Shaun of the Dead, though you would expect it to be said a whole heck of a lot more?
Zombie.
Is it? Yeah. Is it?
Is it?
I don't know. I'm guessing.
What did you say?
Zombie.
I would have said the Z
Exactly.
word. Is it? Yes, because doesn't he says zombie and then he says, don't call him that.
Yep. And it's never said again.
It's never said again. Because you know what? Zombies aren't usually called zombies in any other zombie movies. They're called the infected in 28 Days Later. I don't know what they're called, to be honest, but rarely do you actually, people say zombies in the zombie movies.
Well, that's right. Even Walking Dead, they're just called walkers.
Yeah, they're just called yeah, like anything.
So
but
that's an interesting observation. I never really thought about it, but
I hadn't thought about it in other movies. Just to me, they're zombies. Come on, why aren't people saying it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, if I saw him, that's a zombie. You can call him whatever you want, but I guess in those movies that there's no culture of zombie-isms, so maybe that's why in that.
Well,
I don't
yeah.
know.
If I was running down the street and somebody asked me what's chasing you, I'd turn around and say it was a zombie. I'm not sure it was a zombie, but
because now you know what a zombie is. Maybe the conceit is that in the movie they don't know what they are. They're just they're sick undead. They're undead. I don't. Yeah. Never mind.
Well, I mean, they never even know that. I mean, they're clearly, that one of the obviously the telltale is the vacant, or not vacant eyes, but the grayed out eyes or whatever you want to call it. That which of course is always kind of been kind of a dead giveaway of, at least in all the films that are zombies, that they always kind of
the
have
white
those,
eyes,
the white over their eyes or something like that.
The fact that body parts are falling off, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, they don't deteriorate right away. It takes a while.
No, well, no, not right away. Cameos. Edgar Wright himself is in it. You see him. He's a zombie lumbering around. Well, his voice, he does a couple voice parts, but he's a zombie lumbering and then he just falls. What else? Chris Martin from Coldplay is actually in it, I think, once or twice. You see him. He's at the end of the film promoting Zombade, but he's also a zombie outside the Winchester. And then let's see. And so George Romero, the man himself who created Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and all that great stuff, loved the movie, thought it was great, had both Simon and Nick come be zombies in the movie Land of the Dead. They played zombies. They were chained to a wall. I didn't see the movie. All I saw was this little outtake of them doing whatever they were doing. It looked like great fun. So it's always good when the person that you're paying the homage to likes your homage.
Well, supposedly they showed it to him like in a private screening or in near his home or something like that, and they were really worried about what his reaction would be, and they were blown away that he loved it just so much.
Oh, good, 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 good. Yeah, I'm glad that he understood. Yeah, but you know, there was absolutely nothing mocking. Like they were genuinely scary zombies.
Mhm.
Like I know it was technically a rom-com, a rom-zom-com, but those zombies were really scary. So there was nothing mocking about it. So of course he would love it. How would he not love it? You know.
So one of the things I was thinking about when I was rewatching it, and we talk about how Shaun changes from the kind of lazy sort of underachiever, and then he becomes kind of the hero, and then at the end, of course, has changed his life so that he's not such a loser. I think at least I think what they were thinking is, you notice there's a scene where he takes off his badge, his name badge, and he throws it down on the sink. Now, to me, there was no reason to do that other than I think that was the turning point where he said,
Like I quit.
I need to, yeah, I'm throwing this old life away, and I need to say, okay, now I'm going to be the guy that's going to be better. And because there's really no reason for him to take off the ID.
No, there
all that
probably
point.
wasn't.
Why did he decide to take it off and throw it on the sink at that point?
Well, otherwise the zombies would have known who to look for then.
He got red on you, yeah. It's so funny because I get many people that don't pick up the red on you reference.
They say it like 4 or 5 times.
I know, but it's just funny because that's why I think it's so funny, because it's just like this stupid thing, you know, you got red on you. It's like, you know, so I always say whenever he brings up the movie, I always say you got red on you, and nobody ever seems to react to it.
But but then that kind of leads us to the whole, not philosophical, I don't even know what the word is, discussion. Did he really change? Existential discussion? I don't know. Did he really change?
I think he did, because he's living, like you said, he's living with Liz, and he's the house is neat and clean, and he must.
I'm going to argue that he didn't, because they recreated the beginning of the movie shot for shot. Him stumbling, him zombieing in, yawning, stepping over her legs, sitting on the couch.
Well, I disagree. I don't know. I'm going to disagree with that. I think that was kind of saying, you know, was he maybe bitten and now a zombie, or because, you know, he kind of does that thing. I don't know. Maybe.
No,
I was taking it. Yeah.
I think there was two sides to it. I think the world hadn't changed. This terrible thing came along that should be end of the world, and really at the end, it's the same old, same old. We've even just sort of brought zombies into the culture.
Yeah, the little girl's dating her, because you see them at the beginning, and he's a guy, and then
nothing's really changed. But I do think they recreated that to show the difference, to say, okay, yeah, you know, he's basically, you know, he's the same guy, but the place is clean. Maybe. He's living with the girl, et cetera, et cetera. So
it was his house. She brought all her stuff. Like you see stuff from her apartment in his house. And if you really look in the background, there's a shelf with, like, you know, with Philip's picture and David and Diane, like everyone who died, like a little memorial shelf to their friends, which is kind of a nice touch, I guess. So yeah.
So yeah. I would argue that he did at least change some, not drastically, but he at least got himself squared away so that he wasn't.
I'll take Bruce's take. The mundanities of life don't change, but maybe the bigger picture.
I mean, they had that, you know, and the funny thing about the movie was that they give the impression that it was only this one little part of London that was infected. Like, it wasn't the whole world. It was clearly just this one section.
Well,
the army was able to come in and kind of eradicate them.
I think that was the way they tried to make it, you know, assume that the whole world had fallen under this disease and it was the end of days and stuff like that. And then the army rolls in and it's like, oh yeah, no, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was, you know, it was just kind of isolated. And
it's funny. At the very beginning of the movie, she says, I want it to be just us two. And at the very end of the movie, the friend comes, just you two then? They're like, yeah, just us two. Because they're the only two that survived. But this isn't when there's at the very end, when she comes in and steps over her legs and says, doesn't she say something, da 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 da, I'm going to go to the Phoenix? The Phoenix is the Winchester, but it's reborn. It's a Phoenix. It's rebuilt out of because the Winchester burnt down. Yeah.
The Winchester, yeah.
At least she didn't have to go to the Winchester for the rest of her life.
Right.
Going to the Phoenix.
Going to a different pub.
No,
has
same
a
pub.
bird maybe over the bar instead of a rifle. I don't know. Like I said, maybe they would have revisited that more if they had ever made the sequel to it, which they still could.
They could.
The movie's
Does
not
it need
that
it
old.
though? I mean,
no, I don't think it needs to be done. Because, sequels usually are just there to make money. They're usually not. They don't really add much to the story. There's a handful of films out there. I could say like Star Wars trilogy, the original. Those all worked but I can't. Most sequels are just there to play off of it. And I don't know if they considered it a financial success enough to really warrant.
I think they did. I mean, it made something like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it was a disaster, but it wasn't a blockbuster.
Well, put it this way: in 2011, British filmgoers voted it the second best British film of all time.
Really?
Well, that's British,
No. It is on it is up there in
in the
comedy,
top
best
50.
comedy movies. It is up there. I've seen that.
Rated. There was something I just read recently. It was rated in the top 50.
Yeah, of all time. Yeah,
all time film. Yeah, 50 greatest 50 greatest comedy films.
Yeah, man, the Brits love their. That's
it
awesome.
It did 2 nominations for the British Academy Film Awards. I guess it did not win.
Hey, I got a piece of trivia. The song, which
it was ranked. I'm sorry, it was ranked a 3rd in the 50 greatest comedy films of all time.
Oh, 3rd.
Yeah.
Worth it. Yeah, no, like I said at the beginning of the show, I have new appreciation for this movie.
Who beat it?
Huh?
Who beat it?
What's
I don't know. It doesn't say. Just
I will share. Here's a piece of trivia.
Let's see if I can find the list.
If they couldn't get the rights to Queen, the "Don't Stop Me Now" song, and whatever the song with the closing credits was also Queen too. The backup song, supposedly, and I don't have this on. I only have this from hearsay. The backup song was "Rah Rah Rasputin," which only me and Bruce know. Because I've never heard that song play in the United States ever. I've only ever heard that song in Canada. But it's having a little resurgence.
Oh no, really?
Russia's greatest love machine. It's everybody go look up Rah Rah Rasputin and then be happy that he got the Queen right. Every time that thing comes on the radio, I'm like, what? And for a while, I thought it was Canadian. They're not Canadian, the people that sing it.
No, they're American.
No, they're German, or I don't know what they are. There's something not American. And so it would only ever come on the radio in Canada. And I thought, oh, this is the Canadian content lock. Because it would be like American song, Rah Rah Rasputin. And I was like, oh, it's Canadian content.
Euro-Caribbean out of West.
Oh, Euro-Caribbean. Even better.
So, by the way, Martin is saying, going back to him taking off, the idea that happened in the exact middle of the movie.
Okay.
So
what happened?
I think I'm onto something.
Wait,
the ID.
The ID removal is exactly in the center of the middle.
So it's the turning point.
Martin's saying. I don't know. We'd have to actually go through and see if it's actually the exact center. But it's pretty darn close to it. So I think I was on to that. I think that was done on purpose, as it was a changing of his.
Yeah.
Nothing in the film is random. Honestly.
No, nothing in the film is random.
Clear. The more you watch it and the more you really dig down into it, you see that every little thing in this film has a purpose.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All there, right down to the kid with the soccer ball. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you see him knocking against the wall, and the next thing you know, it's hitting him in the head.
There's so many good scenes in this. The one that keeps giving me the laugh is the guy when they're driving along. Ed looks away, looks back. Boom! They hit a guy.
Where you're going with this?
And they stop. Shaun rolls down the window. You okay? You okay? And you just hear this cracking and popping and everything, and the guy starts, oh, good, rolls up the window.
Clearly a zombie.
Yeah, he was worried that he was an actual live person and they just killed this guy rather than that he was already dead. Like, okay, he was already dead. Moving on. You know? There's a lot of stuff like that. Ed is to me is one of the he's the annoying character because he's always screwing things up and doing things, but then in the end, of course, he ends up being noble and has to stay behind and tries to hold the zombies back long enough.
He is very noble at the he kind of is, although he has
but the whole
one
thing with him playing the slot machine game, like so stupid that here do you have a do you have whatever coin they called it? I forgot it wasn't a pound. He said it. You have a not a pence.
Pence. I don't know what it was.
Quid. Yeah, you got a quid, and he puts it in the machine, and of course it happens to hit, so it's the alarm.
Yeah, so it's singing and chirping. Yeah,
all that stupid stuff that that he would do because he's just that kind of character. But then in the end, of course, he does the right thing, and
Oh, Ed, we knew you win. Was it wise of them really to leave? Like, would they not have been better off holed up in Liz's apartment? Because it was on the second story.
Of course it was. I always thought of that too. I'm like, why wouldn't you stay on the second floor?
Was it really wise?
They don't climb because they wouldn't even come over the bar.
Yeah. Well,
like the bar stopped them.
Yeah, the bar did stop them. That's right. Oh no, well maybe the ring of
fire. Well, eventually he lit the fire, but originally they were kind of just banging up against the bar. Yeah. Like none of them even thought to like lean over and grab them.
That's true. They couldn't even after they broke a window, they struggled to kind of get in. So
yeah, I mean, because they're not really. There's no intelligence there. I guess they're very rudimentary. Just eat.
Should have stayed at Liz's, man.
Stayed at Liz's. Yeah. I don't know why they went to the Well, I guess his feeling was the Winchester was a brick building and it would be difficult.
No, Liz's, he did not know the exits and he couldn't smoke. That was Ed's 2 criteria.
So, but then of course,
it was Ed. That's right. Ed was the one. No, we're not going to Liz's.
No,
that's true. Originally, right. The original plan, because he kept saying, well, how about this? We do this, we do this, we do this. And then the final plan was was go to the Winchester.
Did you guys catch in the scene where he's in the kitchen with his mom? He's at his mom's house. And he's in the kitchen saying, how much do you love Philip? Did you catch in the background, if you listen, you hear Ed crash the car on purpose, the red car.
Right, because he wanted to drive the
Jag. He wanted to drive the Jag, right? You can hear that happening.
I had an accident. You were parked. This is what I'm saying. He's such an irritating character. You're like, you just wanted to kill him just to get rid of him.
Yeah, you can kind of see, like, you hate the roommate Peter. Yeah, Peter. You hate the roommate Peter, but you also kind of understand Peter's annoyance with Ed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Ed, it's like the slacker roommate that doesn't pay the rent.
Like, you don't even know why. I think it's just funny that Pete was. I guess he died in the shower, so he just walks around naked for the whole time. That was kind of
he dies in the shower and spends the rest of the movie naked. Oh god.
So, and then he gets shot in the head after all that. So for his
dark turn. Has to kill roommate. Has to kill own mother. Contemplating.
Well, he says that he's like, I had to kill my roommate. What did he say?
He rattles it off.
To that effect, all in the same day.
What did he do with Bill Nye? I don't remember what happened.
They just left him in the car. There's nothing of the man you love. Click the radio.
Yeah.
They just walk away.
It's funny because they're like, he's like, Mom, are you okay? No, but they bit whatever his name was.
Philip.
Yeah.
Philip, and they're like, oh, okay, like
yeah. Oh, Philip. Was the joke that Ed kind of had a thing for the mom? Because did you notice in all the fantasy sequences where we're saying, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go get Liz, and I'm gonna go get my mother. Ed always has the mom, and then they're like happily running away together. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice that.
I think Ed had a thing for the mom.
I mean, like I said, everything's intentional.
Yeah. Go back and watch it. Watch the interactions between Ed and mom.
Yeah.
So he makes some off-color jokes about the mom and stuff like that. Yeah. And so could be.
Crazy.
It was a funny thing. He goes, Philip touched me or something like that, and the mother looks at him. Okay, that wasn't true. That was just true. That wasn't true. That, and I love it when he's making the he's talking to Liz when he realizes he can't make the dinner reservation, and he's trying to come up with something, and you got his head in the background going, and you're like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. And he goes, the Winchester, and click,
Click.
So it's funny, but
And it's just that point about her being on the second floor. The first time he goes over there, he says, I'm gonna climb up there and stuff like that. And then he rings back saying, it's me again.
yeah,
When the zombies are after him, he makes it.
he makes it. Yeah.
I know that Edgar Wright called that climbing, where you actually see the cricket back first. He called that Temple of Doom style, because I guess Harrison climbed and you just see like one arm.
Well, at the end of the film, where you don't know what happened to him because there was the bridge collapse, and then you kind of see the arm come up. Well, it does the same thing in the next movie.
Yeah. Well, for whatever reason, Edgar was calling it
egg,
Temple of Doom.
And they think, and then you see him kind of just his hands start crawling up.
You're gonna climb up roof. Temple of Doom style.
Yeah. So, so that's probably what he meant. But yeah, it's funny. But that whole scene, was obviously, if it was that easy to get in, maybe the zombies could have climbed. I don't know. But
if anyone, so there's like a million references. If anyone is so enamored and you want to hear like every single reference in this movie, go on YouTube and type in 101 references or 101 things in Shaun of the Dead, and they will rattle them all off for you. And there is 101 and more, and probably more. There's probably stuff they missed.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff.
Tons and tons.
And like, the whole movie is just wrought with Easter eggs or references, I should say. They're really not Easter eggs.
Yeah, they're callbacks. Text. You know what? Actually, the real word for that is, we call them callbacks. We call them references. We call them Easter eggs. The real word is transtextuality. Transtextuality. That's TEXT.
That's your word of the day, folks.
And that's my word of the day.
Try to use that in a sentence tomorrow.
Use it in a sentence tomorrow. Transtextuality. Martin is reminding us. Philip,
that just sounds like something like
No, text, TEXT, transtextuality. And it applies to movies, theater, and the reason why, because it's meant from books to book, but movies and theater have scripts, so it still applies text. Anyway, Martin is reminding us that Philip was locked in the back of the car, and the child lock, he left his own child locks on, and that's why he's...
Safety first.
Safety first.
You can't be too careful.
And that's why he got stuck in the back of the car, poor man. Poor zombie.
Well, he knew he was gonna turn there. Who was the guy that was the one that ended up biting the mom? I think wasn't he like a known actor? He looked really familiar, and I can't.
He looks like Jim Broadbent. It's not Jim Broadbent, but you're right. He does look really familiar. I'm not sure who it is. You see him in the very beginning. You see him in the line, like he's one of the ones looking at his phone or doing something right in the beginning. Yeah, everyone you see, every prominent zombie you see, you saw at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, like I said, everything is very well planned.
The homeless guy with the dog. Oh, what happened to the dog? We don't know what happened.
We don't know. The dog just disappeared.
The dog pulled a Will Smith. What was that movie?
Oh, the one.
Alpha Omega.
No, the Will Smith was Legion, right?
Nobody knows that. Somebody typed for me. What was the Will Smith movie with the dog? And I refuse to see it because I know what happens to the dog. So I'm watching that.
I thought you were talking about the Will Smith one where he's basically was the remake of Omega Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm talking about. Omega Man.
Legion, I think.
I Am Legend.
Was it?
I Am Legend. That's
I Am Legend.
Yeah. Legion is a different film. There is a film called Legion. But we should mention, we got to give Roy before we forget.
Oh yeah. So hey, I'll take a moment to do two things while we're sitting here. One, guys, go to our Facebook page, and I put up a post asking for like your best favorite Halloween movies, and I you don't have to answer them all, just whichever one jumps out at you, not just whichever one. So I asked for best all around favorite Halloween, best Halloween Star Trek, because I mean,
Kevin Sharp saw your thing there, so just
best animated, best Halloween family fun, best found footage, those are scary. Best based on a true story, those are scary. Best based on a book, best Stephen King, best M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, best vampire, UFO, aliens, witches, ghosts, zombies, farce, and any others. And I will share Martin. Martin answered a couple of them. I'll share those. And then next week, Rizzo and I will share what we think for some of those. So Martin said, best Halloween family fun, Hocus Pocus. Well, yeah, because I would have said Ghostbusters, but there is cursing in Ghostbusters, so little kids can't watch that. Best farce, American farce. He said Young Frankenstein. Good choice, Martin. We will be doing that. For British, he said Carry On Screaming. I am not familiar. I will have to check that out. Best ghost in a TV series. Martin says Captain of the George from Sequest Sequest DSV. I have zero memory of that. And I watched Sequest, so I'm not sure.
I don't remember that.
Martin, for best M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, he says Sixth Sense. I would have said Signs. That's a really scary one, I think. But we'll be sharing our answers to those coming up. For Roy,
The Sixth Sense, just mentioning that you talk about a film that has a ton of references, or not references, but clues to the movie.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
And they talked about later that they couldn't believe people weren't picking up on all these clues they left. But anyway.
Yeah, that's a great point. Sixth Sense was a nicely layered movie.
Yeah.
Roy, last week he just did Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Totally worth a look, both the movie and his show, because there were Body Snatcher references in Shaun of the Dead. Next week on Friday, he is doing Kolchak, the Night Stalker, with his usual Friday guest host, which is Ross Amico. And then Sunday, he just sent me a message. They were kicking around Night of the Living Dead on Sunday, which would have been a perfect follow-up to Shaun of the Dead. But it is his 50th episode, so he might do something a little more celebratory. We'll see what happens. And then finally, for Roy, if you guys want to tune in on October 30th, Rizzo and I will be joining Roy on his show to talk some Young Frankenstein. That's a classic. And then immediately after, we're going to have our costume party, which basically means I'm going to have to wear my costume all through Young Frankenstein.
I'm going
but that's
as a
okay.
serial killer because they look.
You're going as a serial killer. Okay, I'm keeping mine as a surprise. It ain't that good, so. What do we have coming up, Rizzo, on this?
Well, next week
show?
We're going to do Clue, the adaptation of the board game, which is a really cool movie that came out in the 80s, and it had at the time when they released that. I don't want to give out too, but they actually released 3 different versions of it with 3 different endings as to who the killer was. If you remember the board game was you had to figure out who murdered somebody in what room with what weapon. So that's just kind of an act, but it's an all-star cast, and it's a really great movie.
Great cast.
We don't have a guest host for that yet. So if Clue is one of your favorite movies, and you can tell us why you should be a guest host on our hugely popular show, please.
Do they have to do the 3-page like I did?
Yes, just like you did.
Yeah. So, and so that's gonna be a lot of fun. And then, of course, after that, Dan Davidson's coming back, and we're gonna do Underworld, which you already talked about.
Underworld, which is a make me
watch
because
our Halloween special. And then we have some other stuff we're thinking about maybe doing for November, some other themey kind of stuff. We'll let you know.
The options are endless, so
so.
Bruce, do you have anything you want to plug?
Any final thoughts on Shaun of the Dead?
Bruce is giving me deer in headlights. Can you just say what's coming up at your job?
Yeah. I'm talking Canadian-based telescopes next week with a bunch of astronomers.
Good, that's great.
Final piece of Shaun trivia.
Yes.
Okay. What did Nick Frost do to himself to help get him into the character of Ed?
Great question. I don't know. I didn't see any of that in my research.
No?
And nobody's typing, of course.
Drank himself into a stupor?
No. He shaved his genitals so he'd always have the urge to scratch.
That is so method.
I don't know how you found that out.
Did he really?
That would do it.
I did not talk to Nick Frost. I did not, actually see this, but
does he ever scratch in any of the scenes? I'm trying to think.
He's scratching quite a bit.
Does he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty disgusting. The funny thing is, I always know you talk about the ice cream there, the
Cornetto, which only gets a laugh.
What I always noticed was he goes and gets it, and he doesn't eat it like Ed doesn't eat it until like quite a long time after. It's like, why doesn't it melt?
I noticed that too. It doesn't
It was for
melt.
Nick. Yeah, sorry, it was for Ed.
It was for Ed, right? But
Yeah.
that's what I
And
said.
Ed,
But
he's right.
anyway,
Ed doesn't eat it for.
Ed doesn't eat it right away. It's like he eats it like
They go kill the zombie in the yard. They go kill
then he
Mary
eats it. I'm like,
first,
why isn't it
and
a
then
pile
cut.
of-
They kill Mary and the other guy, and then cut to him licking. He's like licking the. He's licking the not the lid, but the lid basically.
Yeah, whatever you call it. So I always it's one of those little things that just niggled me. I was like, it should have melted by now.
Yeah, eat that ice cream.
The one fault. Oh my God.
I know it's not. If Trolley was
So many
planned,
details. You remember he
Tell
goes
you that
back
there's
and there's
actually-
like bloody handprints on the thing, and did you notice he slips?
he
Like he slips
slips.
in
Yeah, that was
blood.
definitely-
Like
yeah.
oh my! Like
Yeah,
it's
there's a
those
lot of like
little
I said, there's
details.
so many clues that he just misses
Yeah.
everything.
He's
And he's a
completely oblivious to it. Yeah.
And he's the zombie. Like he's the real zombie of the movie.
Yeah, that's why I say it really is. There is quite a bit of a commentary on society in this film.
It's existential, man.
People
I
are
don't
just
know.
kind of not paying attention to anything around them. So, all right, folks.
All right, everybody, go to our Facebook and answer some of those Halloween movies. I want to hear what
Beth
people
wants
say.
you to answer it. She's feeling neglected that nobody has been
You don't
responding.
have to answer all of them. Just pick one.
Pick one. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week with Clue and TBA on the guest host, and we will see you then.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Bruce for having. Yep.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us. Live long and prosper. Stay COVID free. Mask up. Blah blah blah. Bye.